Happy Monday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show. I'm Anthony Totri, joined always by Shane Diefenbach. Shane, how you doing?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Just okay? Why just okay? I feel like you've been just okay for a while.
Yeah, I mean my teeth still aren't great, but they're good.
But they're better. Better.
Mm-hmm. They're better.
That's always good. I don't know. After a weekend of not hearing and then hearing it on a Monday, kind of gets me fired up.
Oh, I think we're having mic troubles with you, Totri. Yeah. It's going in and out.
No.
Yeah. You might have to switch to your headphones. I'll entertain the people while you figure that out. Guys, happy Monday and hello. I know you wanted to see this beautiful face. We got a lot to get into today. So obviously this past weekend really, recruiting has really ramped up with visits and commitments left and right. And we'll get into some of those guys, but before we do that, I just kind of wanted to give a disclaimer. Obviously, everything that we kind of say during this is going to be all well and good. And I can't believe that all of these guys seem so happy with that. And I don't want it to seem like we're just saying everything is dandy because we're covering the team. But it is going really well. And having optimism is a good thing because I see some people on Twitter that aren't super excited yet. And I think everybody should be. We'll get into some names. Coco Pelli Diefenbach, I appreciate that. We'll get into some names a little bit later, but ASU did land a couple commitments this weekend and some pretty great names as well. Champ Westbrooks, phenomenal football name. 6'5", 260, offensive lineman. Yeah, there's just a bunch of good names. Is Totri ready to come back yet? Hello? Oh.
Does it work now? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, yeah.
It's cutting in and out. We're fine. We're good like this?
We're good. We're good right now, yeah. We're good right now.
We're good. I feel like you're just like it's the whole thing.
It cut out again. Just switch to your headphone speakers. See if you can do that because that's not. I don't think that mic is going to work for you. This is what happens when you go live. Sometimes things happen.
Okay, what about now? Can you hear me fine now?
Yeah, there we go. That's totally fine.
Perfect. Okay. Sorry about the technical difficulties. To your point, I know you're talking about it just a little bit. We don't want to make it sound like everything is crazy, fine, and dandy with the program, just because.
But it's going well.
But it is going well, and in comparison to where this program was at this time last season, or even at times during the season last year, the program is certainly in better hands and certainly in a better place than it was beforehand. Joe in the chat, Totri's in timeout. I know sometimes they just put me in timeout.
Yeah. I did want to go over something really fast, just to put things into perspective. Right now, for 2024, which is obviously not the class that's coming in right now, but the class that will be here next year, there are officially 11 hard commits in that range, and obviously a lot more to come. Some as soon as tomorrow, as Kenny Dillingham hinted at on his Twitter. In 2022, with one Herm Edwards' staff, Tevin White's class, there were 12 total that enrolled. 12. And that's it. A lot of where the roster was shored up, because you might say that's it's like nobody, 12 in a recruiting class, was with transfers. And we know how some of those transfers went. You know, you have your guys like Ro Torrance, Joey Ramos, Emmett Bull, but then you have your Cam Johnsons, Emory Jones, guys that have transferred out. So, yeah, just to put things in perspective, a lot better things on the horizon, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and before we get into the people that were here this past weekend and people that might commit, you mentioned the 11 hard commits. ASU just a couple weeks ago had a really strong recruiting weekend and had moved up 35th nationally in terms of the 2024 class. After this past weekend, they're up to 33. Obviously, I know there were some people on social media that were upset saying 33 is not good enough. But mind you, signing day is still like 6 months away, and this team is yet to go through a full season with this coaching staff and the players on the roster now. And they're certainly going to have a better season than they did a year ago, which should bring in more recruits. Realistically, I could definitely see this recruiting class up to top 30 nationally, which is huge compared to, again, what Herm and that staff had just a few years ago. I believe it was one of the worst recruiting classes in the nation.
Yeah, and just as I said, the names that he's picked up in the recruiting class is great, and a lot of the big hitters still haven't signed for 2024. Obviously, these are pretty early commits, as Glenn points out in the chat. 10 commits by June is awesome, and there's more than 10, and there's going to be at least 12 or 13. I think by tomorrow we'll have 13 or 14 hard commits, and there's some pretty fun names that we'll throw around. But it's not only that; it's obviously how much this team shored up its roster in the portal, and how much it's going to shore up its roster in the portal going into next year as well, because this is just the first couple months that Dillingham was able to do that. Yeah. So it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe in the chat feels like the early signing period has changed recruiting timelines in the past. Only top flight QBs were the only ones to commit during the summer. Yeah. I mean, the signing period and honestly NIL and just everything in general with the evolution of college athletics, I think you're going to still see over the next couple of years just how different the recruiting timeline is in some of these commits.
I'm going to get Joe a shirt that says Joe in the chat, like all in one word, because we always just say Joe in the chat.
Joe in the chat
saying. Joe in the chat saying.
Well, before we get into the guys that committed this past weekend and took a visit, Shane, you saw the big news over the weekend. Bradley Beal's a Phoenix Sun.
Yeah. The non-knockdown three-point shooter, catch-and-shoot specialist Bradley Beal.
I know we were joking about it over the weekend. You didn't seem like you were a giant fan of it.
No, I was being sarcastic because people are saying that he's not a good shooter, which is hilarious to me. No, it wasn't that I was a big fan of it. I just didn't think it was possible. When we were talking, we were at the Section 7 tournament talking to a couple coaches, and we'll get into that later in the week. But you mentioned that, you know, that the contracts match if you just did Chris Paul and Shamet. But I said, Chris Paul and Shamet is not going to get the deal done. The only way it gets the deal done is if Bradley Beal really wants to come to Phoenix. Well, it turns out he really wanted to come to Phoenix.
Yeah,
like really
absolutely.
bad.
Yeah, Bradley Beal is part of the super team now that the Phoenix Suns are. It's going to be interesting for sure. Super excited to get the chance to bet on the Phoenix Suns. Obviously, we're still some time away before you could bet on their games, but you can obviously place a bet on their futures. And if you're not ready to make
plus
some NBA
plus 650 at BetMGM right now, by the way.
Really? Who's the favorite? The Nuggets?
Yeah, the Nuggets are plus 500, I want to say, and then Celtics, Bucks, Suns.
Well, if it's still too early for you guys to make some NBA bets that you feel confident in, you can obviously still bet on baseball and everything else going on, and you should do it over at BetMGM. They still got a great deal going on. If you guys log in to BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android, they still have the BetMGM MLB free-to-play game from May 27th through September 7th. You guys can be a batter and pick an area of the strike zone, and pretty much you're going to get some bonus bets depending on the area of the strike zone you pick. You're going to either get a single, double, triple, home run, or pop out and receive the prize associated with that type of hit. Played once a day. Prizing must be used on MLB and expires in a 24-hour period. And guys, if you haven't signed up yet for BetMGM, use that bonus code PHNX. There's a few different offers depending on where you live, but for Arizona, audience, you guys are going to get up to $100 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. Again, make sure you use that bonus code PHNX. Check out the show notes for full details. And now you guys get to listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
Glenn saying Suns West Champs plus D-backs NL West parlay. I love that. I'm going to do a little pivot to our traffic log for ad break because I just found some exciting news. They're kind of trolling, but Circle K. Is this real? Is this real? Do you think?
What is it? I haven't seen it yet.
So the Nuggets Golden Era, they released books for it, and they might be available at Circle K's soon. This might be a troll, but regardless, you should just go to Circle K so you can see us on the pumps. Circle K, it's the best spot for snacks, for coffee, for whatever you want. And we're there at the pumps, as I said. So make sure you're not missing out on all the great stuff. Right now, text PHNX to 31310 to join their SMS subscriber club and get a buy one, get one free offer on 32-ounce Polar Pops. Head to CircleK.com/store-locator at CircleK.com/store-locator to find Circle K's near you. I'm trying to see if there's confirmation on this. I don't know if I'm getting trolled or not. But that would be cool if there is.
That would be really cool. That'd be really cool.
If you're a Nuggets fan, go pick up the book, I guess. If you're not, just ignore everything I said. Let's talk about ASU football. Woo!
Yeah, I know. 12 minutes in, we're being a bunch of teases here. Let's get into some of the guys that did commit over the weekend. I want to start with Champ Westbrooks. First off, I tweeted out, this guy's got the most football name out there. First name Champ, last name Westbrooks.
Other than like Doug Gridiron. But
Doug, yeah, there you go. Or I guess John Madden is probably a pretty good football name. But Champ Westbrooks, 6'5", 260-pound offensive lineman, played offensive line and defensive line in high school in LA. What's really interesting about him is he's 16 years old. He's part of the 2024 class, and he is still just 16. I can't imagine being 6'5", 260 pounds. Just wait till he grows into his body a little bit and can actually, I feel like, get accustomed to being 6'5", 260 pounds. Yeah. My favorite part of this commit might be his Twitter bio. The fact that his Twitter bio is to protect and serve pancakes it's just the most offensive line thing ever. And I feel like he fits. Great. He just fits the vibe, I feel like.
Offensive linemen, Canadians, protecting and serving pancakes and maple syrup.
Love it.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. This was a he committed it on his visit, right? Mm-hmm. It's just everybody that's talked about their visit, and I know the school's going to say this, but everybody that's talked about their visit is like saying themselves, "Oh my God, I'm so impressed."
Yeah.
What are they doing? What are they doing to them? Are they obey with a watch? Obey. You are a Sun Devil.
They're doing it in those like SUVs that they're bringing out for these kids.
Dude, well, let's talk about that because it's kind of a meme. It's hilarious. They're driving black on black SUVs onto the football field, but that is going the extra mile. Yeah. When you're a 16, 17-year-old kid, sometimes 15, sometimes 14, like you're impressed by shiny things. It's just how it goes.
I'm 25. I'm still impressed by shiny things.
Yeah, but yeah. You're not a football recruit. These football recruits want the flash. They see the Jalen Ramseys of the world, putting their seatbelts on and have Conor McGregor walking all over the field, and they want to be like that. They want to have that swag and like that's straight up out of a movie. Like if you showed me, like that sounds like something that would happen in fucking draft day, and I'd be like, okay, yeah. They're driving SUVs on their football field for a recruit that's for a 3-star recruit, but they're just going the extra mile, and that's something that this coaching staff is all about is the extra mile. It's Absolutely. So great.
And you bring it up, right? Like they talk about it anytime they talk about their visits. They talk about the coaching staff specifically and Kenny Dillingham and just the vibes. Right. I know it's turned into kind of a meme or a joke, but like that is really what it is. You get these kids out to ASU and they connect with the coaching staff. And it's not just Kenny, right? It's Sage, it's Brian Carrington, it's Vince Amy. Like, it's really all the coaches. And that is really a testament to this coaching staff that Kenny Dillingham has built. It's been awesome. And obviously Champ is going to be a big part of this 2024 class. He was the first offensive lineman for the 2024 class out of those 11 hard commits. So it's definitely going to be exciting to see what they get going forward. Joe
is the king of callbacks. Like, I was like, what is he talking about? And then I remember the shades and colors conversation we had on Friday or whenever that was. Also talking about, do we have any graphics available? I need to figure out the only stat that matters. Totri, what's the only stat that matters?
It's win or loss, man. It's that final score.
It's the final score.
It's the final score. Come on. Gosh, Joe really does live here.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I'm a big fan of like light bars and stuff that they bring. Like they look like lightsabers that you can like.
Yeah, we're impressed by shiny shit.
It's just it's great. It's
electric.
They have a great creative team too.
They do.
And that just speaks to it. Again, it goes to the extra mile thing, but it's also like Herm wasn't flashy. I mean, he'd say some funny shit. He'd talk about recess during.
Yeah, but it wasn't funny
press
shit.
Conferences.
It wasn't funny shit.
He's not rocking a bust down rollie with Taylor Lewan on the football field. Like, that's just not what he was gonna do.
He might, if you gave him the opportunity. Maybe he would. Maybe he would do that. Moving on.
Herman Edwards will do that.
Herman Edwards. Herman, no middle name Edwards.
Yeah.
Moving on from Champ to another one of the commits over the weekend, Ramar Williams, a local guy from Mesa East Mark High School. This guy is a unit. I don't know if you've seen like photos of him, but it looks like he's built bigger than what he's listed. And he's listed at 6'4", 255 pounds, a guy that can really play defensive end, defensive tackle as well. Obviously, he played a little bit of tight end over at Mesa. This is a guy, though, that you're going to 100% see on the defensive line. And I think that's huge, right? We talk about this team going forward. And obviously, this is the 2024 class that we're talking about here. But we see that the real weakness, at least the expected weakness of this roster and of this team, is the defensive line, the interior defensive line. And I think you see this team making it a point to go after some of these guys already in the 2024 class, some local kids that truly have potential to be some star players on ASU. But Shane, again, Kenny Dillingham locking in another Arizona kid, something that he said he was going to do the day he was announced as coach.
Yeah, and Ramar said that he knew he was going to commit before he even visited. It just like this staff just reels you in, and this isn't a guy who has any stars next to his name, but there's a lot of guys that have come here without any stars next to their name or walked on, like your BJ Green, who weren't scholarship players, and now it's 2023, the year of our Lord, and we're looking at BJ Green to run this defensive line basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Glenn in the chat, nice to have a staff that, quote, evaluates and trusts their scouting reports. Yeah, it's just nice to have a staff that feels like they know what they're doing. I don't want to get too much into the
Herm's staff would have been, I don't want to get too much into it, but I do right now. Herm's staff would have been so perfect for like a show where they, like, the script wrote them winning games so they didn't actually have to win games. Like, they'd have just been hilarious to just be like a Hard Knocks but the script is like they are winning. They're going 9-4 this year, and so you could hear the post game speeches. But he didn't actually have to coach because the cameras are following around, so they're going to win games anyway.
Yeah, it's part of the script. That's exactly what it is. Some of the other guys that took visits to ASU we'll talk about here. I want to start with Sire Gaines. This is just another great football name, but this is really a guy that was a Swiss Army knife and is a Swiss Army knife over at Orange Vista High School in California. Plays running back, safety, outside linebacker, just a hybrid player that you can see on both sides of the ball. I don't really know where he plugs in or what ASU is recruiting him as. My guess would be that it's running back, just considering that this team moving forward looks like they do have some holes in terms of running back down the line. Obviously, Cameron Scatabo, DeCarlos Brooks, these are guys that are much older. In terms of running backs on the roster, you're looking at Tevin White and George Hart, and that's obviously you're going to need to add some more to that. But ASU is in his top 6. Shane, looking at the rest of the top 6, you got Washington State, you got UW, U of A, Boise State, SDSU, and then ASU. Would you say that ASU should be the favorite to land a guy like that?
I don't know about should be, but I think it's one of the most desirable destinations, and I wouldn't have said that last year, but things change.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll say that. Where's he from?
California.
California. Well,
California, yeah. This is another. I mean, just if you look at some of the guys in the class over this past weekend that have committed and visited, you get a lot from LA, a lot from San Diego, and just California in general. So it's a nice little change of pace considering we've seen a lot of the recruiting class, or at least what it feels like, has been from Texas. But it's good to see that this staff is not just hunkering down in one place. Although if they were going to hunker down in one place, Texas is not a bad spot to get all of your recruits.
No. Yeah. I mean, we know they've been huge in Texas, obviously because of two of the coaches they've brought in, but it's still really impressive. And there's a couple more recruits out there to keep an eye on from Texas. A guy like Kawan Lacey, who's from Lancaster, that a lot of people think will commit to ASU, and Rodney Bimage, the corner, and Chris Johnson Jr., another corner. Some of the positions that they're getting, that I don't really think of ASU as, I can't remember the last time they got a high recruit corner that worked really well, and that would be fun. Same with tight ends. I mean, there's some fun names out there, and they're definitely in the market for more tight ends, and I think they're in the running for a guy like Dylan Hipp, who is close with a lot of the teammates because he goes to Desert Mountain, and a lot of people think he's going to commit too. So there's some good names out there, man.
It's going to absolutely be fun. I mean, I think just to answer your question from earlier, I think the last real cornerback recruit that ASU got that was highly touted was Chase Lucas. And that was a while ago. Yeah, Joe in the chat, Chase Lucas, and then bringing up Zach Miller in terms of the tight end recruit. There are some interesting names that we'll get to here in a little bit. You did bring some of them up, but continuing with the guys that already took visits this past weekend, Tony Lewis and Kubo, who's already committed to ASU. But it was nice to just see. It's nice for me, at least. I feel like when you get guys that are already committed that still come out and get the flashing lights and those photos and all the hoopla that comes with being a commit, right? Because I feel like there are times, absolutely, that guys commit and then you'll see them go take visits to other places, and that's totally their prerogative. That's totally their right to be able to do that. But if it's me and I'm a coach and someone's committed to the program, I really like to see them opt maybe not to take those other visits and come, and we'll give you, the whole red carpet for that. So it was nice to see Tony Lewis out here. And then another one, Martell Hughes. He plays safety. I believe he also plays a little bit of linebacker. He's a little bit bigger than I thought he would be. 6'2". That's pretty big for a safety, in my personal opinion. Just under 200 pounds. This is another guy that you could probably see throw on some weight. But again, this is 2024 class. To be listed at 6'2", $195 in high school is saying something. And then another guy, right, from San Diego, California. So out of these guys, I know Kenny had tweeted this morning about it, and we'll show that tweet in a little bit. But it could be an exciting couple days for Arizona State fans. Like, the weekend might not have just been it. It could have been just the tip of the iceberg for recruits. Out of all of the guys that have taken visits that we brought up, which one do you think could boost this 2024 class the most?
It's all about position, man. And I think they're pretty set in a lot of positions we've talked about. I mean, not set. You can always use more bodies, but let me look. Hold on. Who's yours? Give me yours.
I'm gonna go Sire. I just think there is so much value. Again, whether they have him at running back or they have him at safety or outside linebacker, those are all positions. I don't want to say positions of need, but those are such valuable positions on a football field, and you look like you're going to be losing a lot of guys, whether it be the transfer portal or just graduation at the end of this season. So adding a guy like that, again, with some California pedigree, I think would go a long way for this 2024 class. So that's my answer.
I'm going to go with Pius Johnson.
Okay.
Chaparral, Scottsdale guy. Keep that pipeline strong. Obviously, it does a lot for your receiving room. Really skilled receiver, but also it just further bolsters your recruiting class in state and at these pretty big schools that pump out some really, really good names. I'm not just saying that because I'm from Scottsdale, but we've seen your Mark Andrews and Kyle Allen come out of Desert Mountain. A bunch of names come out of Chaparral as well, and it just obviously Kenny Dillingham being one of them. But it would just be really fun to continue that and then tap into Saguaro even more with Coach Mons, which I'm sure they'll be doing soon.
Oh, absolutely. Before we get into some of the guys that you could see be Sun Devils here in the next couple days or next couple weeks, I want to tell you guys a little bit about Burrito Express. Shane, I don't know about you, but I was very, very close to driving over to Tempe and picking up a burrito from Burrito Express this morning. They got locations all over the valley, guys, so it doesn't matter if you're in Tempe or Scottsdale or Phoenix. There's probably a BE location near you. Their food goes crazy, and they've got some NIL athletes, whether that be with Elijah Badger or Jalen Conyer. So anytime you guys actually go to BE, you're supporting Arizona State athletes as well. So check them out and give them a follow on social at Burrito EXP.
Love it. I wasn't thinking about Burrito Express for the first time ever this morning because the burrito, they don't skimp out on the meat, the cheese, the potatoes, the eggs, whatever you want in them. So them boys are thick. They are large, and I still can't open my mouth that wide. I have a small mouth to begin with, so it'd be a recipe for disaster. Maybe I could put it in a blender, blend it up. I'm sure it would still taste good. I'm getting an eye roll from Leah.
Yeah, I'll let you. You could be the guinea pig on that.
But if I were to do that, I would just wash it down in some Four Peaks because it's the best beer in the valley. And I'm going to be missing it when we go to Nashville. I'm sure we can find some. Maybe we can bring some. Maybe I can just bring a bunch of little shooter-sized Four Peaks on the plane because you're allowed to do that. I found that out on my way to Vegas. You're allowed to bring as many as you want.
Really? There's no limit?
No, there is. It's 15. But that's a ton of them. So we brought a bunch of Fireball ones. You can't drink them on the plane because that's illegal. I didn't do that. But, you save money with alcohol in Vegas, and you can save your taste buds from a bad beer if you bring them somewhere else. And it's just, as I said, they're just fantastic. The best beer to drink right now is the WOW, in my opinion. It's hot. It's summer. The WOW is the unofficial beer of the Salt River. I'm going to be bringing it there when I go soon because I'm trying to get there. And Four Peaks is just the best. Check out at Four Peaks Brew and at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. You got to be 21 years or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink it responsibly.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some more of the recruits' potential commits that we could see over the next couple of days. I want to start with Gavin Hoffman. This is a guy that you've seen connected with Arizona State for the last week or so. Number one tight end in Kansas, 6'5", 225 pounds. And interesting enough, when Kenny Dillingham tweeted earlier this morning, and why don't we go ahead and throw up that tweet now? So if you missed it, this is what Kenny Dillingham tweeted earlier this morning. You sent it to me. Fired up for tomorrow. Hashtag activate the valley. Hashtag Sun Devil for life. And it's a gift that says, I know something most don't. Guess who was one of the people to like that tweet this morning?
There were a couple of recruits. And a lot of people saying, oh, this is for sure this guy. He's coming. Oh, here's this guy. He's coming. I don't buy it.
They might all be coming.
Yeah, they might. They will. Yeah. I'm not gonna speculate on who's coming because if I was getting recruited by a head coach of a university and he tweeted something silly like that, I would be liking it because I probably know who he's talking about anyway, even if it's not me. But who liked it, Totri?
Gavin Hoffman liked it. That's 6'5" tight end, the number one tight end in Kansas, and my God, it would be fun.
Which I don't know if you know this, but Kansas known for its corn-fed boys. Them tight ends. It's good to have a tight end that's corn-fed.
Oh yeah,
and being the number one corn-fed tight end in the country would be fun to have on your team. Yeah, that would be great. I would love that. Chris Cartman tweeted out earlier today that he told him that he's going to commit within a couple of weeks, and ASU is definitely one of the guys on the list, or one of the schools on his list. So that could be something. I don't know who it's going to be.
It could be fun though.
Yeah, it will be fun. There's a lot of names still out there, and as I said, this is really early still. It's for 2024. This is not coming to the school this year. So yeah.
Anytime you're in the race for a top position player in a state is definitely something that's noteworthy. Again, I know it's a tight end and I know it's Kansas, but still, anytime that you could be in a race for a top guy like that, I think is certainly something, again, to make note of.
Glenn saying something fun. He says, I think Kenny's tweet is a 2025 recruit, maybe a quarterback to jumpstart the class.
Could be interesting. They had, I want to say I know they had at least one offer this past weekend, and I want to say it was for a 2027 recruit. So they're not wasting any time. I don't remember the name of the recruit off the top of my head, but this is a guy that had already, a kid that had already gotten an offer from Oregon. But 2027 class, you're still looking so far away.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if you're talking 2025 quarterback, it'd be the perfect time to wait under Jaden Rashada for his final year when he's considered to be a top 10 pick, because he'll be a junior by that time. And you can learn under him and all of his techniques. Just your daily reminder, that kid's going to be really good, guys.
Jaden Rashada?
Even if you don't see him at all this year, he's going to be really good.
He is. He's got crazy arm talent, man.
He looks like me throwing a Nerf football. And that doesn't even do it justice. Just the pure.
I don't think it does any justice to it.
No, I'm talking about the release speed. A football is hard to grip. His hands are big and he flicks. Is what I'm not. I don't have actually. I throw dots, but that's neither here nor there. I was just talking about the speed to get it out, and that's a million times faster.
Yeah, he's got some great arm.
He's gonna be good.
Yeah. Two other guys. You brought up Flash Johnson. No, not Tua, and this is not a time for your daily reminder. Flash Johnson, ASU in the top 3 for him. The other schools, Kansas State, BYU. You brought him up earlier. This is a Scottsdale kid. Kind of does it all, whether that be special teams, wide receiver, listed as an athlete. He's a 3-star kid. What do you think it would mean, do you think, to keep another kid home, and one that really does it all?
Well, as I said, it's there you go, Sean. Your daily reminder that Tua is the same size as Caleb Williams. Not only does it, as I said, help getting a guy from a school like Chaparral, but think about it like this. If you were a sophomore at Chaparral, a wide receiver, let's say, and you were learning underclass, Johnson, and you looked up to this guy because, he's a star, he's going to go play D1 football, and you just learned a ton from him. And he goes to ASU, you're going to think about going to ASU. You're going to be talking to all your buddies about going to ASU. You're going to go watch games. You're going to go watch him play at ASU. And then all of a sudden, that's how pipelines and stuff start at schools. Obviously, contact with coaches and constant recruiting helps. But, just from a pure, at the smallest scale level where you're talking about from player to player, that helps a ton. So from a non-pro football perspective, that's it right there. From a football perspective, that's just another athlete, man. Kenny loves his athletes. Kenny loves his guys that he can plug and play anywhere. And this would be a really good addition to that. Yeah, absolutely. This is a kid that, if you turn on the tape, reminds me a little bit of a Javen Jacobs, right? A guy that really can do it all. And I know ASU's in the top 3, and there's still some other schools in the running for like BYU and Kansas State. I'm going to say it now. I think he's a Sun Devil. I don't really see BYU and Kansas State standing much of a chance in recruiting a kid out of Arizona. If you've been to either of those places, and ASU is on the list, you're probably going to ASU. But we'll obviously see what happens. But I think Flash Johnson will be a Sun Devil at some point. And then the last kid that I want to talk about, Max Parrott. We talked earlier about Champ Westbrook's being the first offensive line commit in the 2024 class for Arizona State. This could be the second one. Max Parrott, 6'5", 290 pounds. Somehow he's bigger than Champ Westbrook's. He's 3 stars, so I know there's going to be some people that are turned off by that because they want those 4 or 5-star offensive linemen. If you're turned off by that, then you're probably turned off by this entire recruiting class because you don't really have a true 4-star. You have a couple guys that are 4 stars in different places, but again, dude, stars are great, but sometimes that you just look at them in the sky and that's all they do for you. They just shine and twinkle. Yeah. It's not going to translate to the field. Most of the time it does. 4 or 5-star guys are awesome. And then, trust me, we talked about a couple 4 or 5-star guys that, would be almost program changers. But it's not everything. And getting a bunch of 3-star guys after your roster was kind of decimated by COVID, the portal, and Herm Edwards. It's good to get a bunch of these guys. Yeah. Glenn bringing up a really strong point that I wanted to bring up. Max Parrott obviously still has not committed anywhere yet, but ASU does have a leg up because his mom did go to ASU.
We've seen that in the past with recruits, i.e. Jaden Rashada, right? It helps when you've got a family member that has gone to the university prior. And this would be another big get. Again, I know we talked a little bit about the stars, and it's something that I do want to touch on here that I've tried to bring up in terms of every single recruit is if you just look at the size of some of these kids, right? These aren't the recruits that ASU was getting in the past just from a size perspective, whether it be the offensive, defensive line, even the safeties, defensive backs listed at almost 6'3", right? These are not the 3-star guys that ASU was getting a couple years ago. And I know, like, just because someone's listed at 6'5", 290 pounds doesn't mean they're going to be a great collegiate athlete. But it certainly gives you a leg up on everybody else when you're that size. So it's nice to see that ASU is even in the running for some of these guys. Shane, before we move off of the recruiting topic, anything that you want to add in terms of what you saw from Kenny Dillingham and this coaching staff moving up from 35th nationally to 33rd?
It's going to keep moving up. This recruiting class is going to be in the top 25 by the time 2024 rolls around.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk a lot about 2023 also. We haven't really gone in depth on the recruits one by one. You know, we've talked about all of them when they committed, but there's a ton of guys that we haven't talked about. There's a ton of guys that weren't here for spring ball because a lot of them don't report until fall camp. And we'll get the chance to talk to them and break it down for you. So if you're waiting for that and all of the glory that is this 2023 class, because there are some dogs in there. You know, this 2023 class has 3 safeties. Pretty great.
3 safeties?
3 safeties.
I do remember it being a little defensive back heavy, which I thought was nice.
Yeah, I mean, another position group that was decimated. Let me make sure I have that right. Yeah, Montana Warren, Josiah Cox, and Sean Russ. So, yeah.
Gosh, I forgot about Sean Russ.
Yep.
Jeez.
Very fun, and we'll get into all of that, you know, probably later this month. But this isn't just for the future. This team can get a lot better now with some of these freshmen. Yeah,
absolutely. Before we get to our final topic of the day, guys, it is Monday, and it's okay. I know there's some people that hate Mondays, but Illegal Pete's is trying to change the mantra when it comes to Mondays. You guys can kick off your week with Margarita Mondays over at Illegal Pete's, exclusive to Arizona locations, $3 margs all day, every Monday. Nothing brightens up that Monday mood more than soaking up the sun with a few margs. And if you miss out on Margarita Monday today, it's all good because they got Taco Tuesday tomorrow, $2 tacos all day. Every Tuesday, you guys can enjoy your favorite chicken, pork, and veggie tacos for just $2. So swing by and start your week off the right way over at Illegal Pete's. Now, Shane, we got one final topic today, and I wish we didn't have to talk about it, but it's an Arizona State thing, and it kind of went viral over the weekend just because of some tweets in the past. But Jack Jones, you are under arrest. Jack Jones, for everybody that didn't see the story, was arrested at Boston Logan International Airport over the weekend for an attempt to bring 2 guns on a plane. The former Sun Devil charged with 2 counts of a concealed weapon in a secure area of an airport, possession of ammunition without a firearm identification card, unlawful possession of a firearm, carrying a loaded firearm, and possession of a large capacity feeding device. Reportedly traveling from Boston to Arizona, was booked at the State Police Logan Airport Barracks per Boston News 25, and his bail was set at $50,000. Shane, what do you think?
Yeah. Obviously, the reason why everyone's talking about this is because he tweeted something about John Morant. This is not the same situation as John Morant whatsoever. No. He is not toting guns. He's not using guns. He has them in his possession. And whether that be just a mental lapse and forgetting that they're in your bag or not knowing the rules or just ignorance, who knows? It's just not a good look. That's all I really have to say about it from that perspective. From a NFL perspective, I hope it doesn't really affect what he's doing because he had a great rookie season, one of the most underrated rookie seasons, and he's going to keep learning under this Belichick defense, and that's going to be great for him. So let's keep it to football, Jack. Let's keep it to football.
I just why are we bringing you? First off, maybe I'm dumb, but there's no way you forget you have 2 guns, and you're going to the airport, right? There's no way. Like you're checking your backpack, you're checking whatever, you're checking your shit, right? Like that's if that's me, there's no shot. I'm like, oh my bad, I forgot my guns in my backpack on the way to the airport. Come on, Jack, what are we doing? I want to give you the benefit of the doubt, but there's no way.
As I always say with situations that are like this, you're not him, so you don't know. Like, we check our backpacks, but like, I don't know. Like, some people will just tick differently. They just forget, or they just don't know. Sometimes some people don't know. We simply just don't know. I don't know, and I don't want to speculate. Maybe he did. I don't know. It's not a great look.
Not a great look for a Sun Devil who you said had a phenomenal rookie season. So hopefully this gets taken care of rather swiftly, and there's not really any issue.
Shout out DeAndre.
Shout out DeAndre, Philadelphia Eagle. Shane, anything else before we move on for the day?
Your daily reminder that DeAndre Swift doesn't know how to run vertically. Yeah.
That's it? You just want to shit on DeAndre Swift?
And here you go. William Jasper saying he did that with the knife one time. He used a different bag. I had a weird situation come up one time that I could tell you about off air, traveling back from a foreign country. So sometimes you just forget.
You're just going to tease that? You're not going to actually?
No.
That's a bummer.
Nothing happened.
Okay. Yeah, Glenn did some laundry and found a gun in my pocket.
Okay.
My gosh. On that note, guys,
friendos.
Before we get out of here, just your daily reminder, guys. Sign up. Become a diehard, okay? You're going to get some really, really cool stuff. Obviously, we've got some great shirts, phenomenal hats. The merch in general is awesome. But if you're not doing it for the merch, do it for the content that you're getting as well. Obviously, Craig Morgan with the PHNX Coyotes has some phenomenal stuff. Gerald, PHNX Suns, has been super, super busy over the course of the last couple of weeks, obviously. And he's going to continue to be busy, and this is the only place where you're going to get content like that, guys. So, again, become a diehard. Again, there's so many perks of being a diehard, whether that be the exclusive content, the discounts on events, or the merch that I brought up earlier, guys, and access to the Discord chat. So check out phnxlocker.com for all of that fun as it relates to being a diehard. But that's going to do it for us on this Monday. If you enjoyed the content, give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Tozier. You can follow Shane at Shane Deef.
As Joe says, a Coco Pelli as always.
And we will see you guys at 2 p.m. on Tuesday for some more Arizona State fun. But in the meantime, guys, enjoy your Margarita Monday. Peace.